Doug Mouton, Ricardo LeCamp inside the Saints indoor facility where they held practice number 7. Nobody was complaining about getting out of it.
Not at all.
And look, I did ask Dennis Allen about the heat. He says at this point, even as horrible as the temperatures have been, the Saints now have a plan to go indoors, outdoors. It has not put them behind schedule. They've gotten all the work done that they wanted to get done. I was actually curious about that. The one big news today, Alvin Kamara is in New York. We talked about that a couple of days ago, that he was going to get a chance to talk to Roger Goodell. I asked Dennis Allen, do you think this might help? He said, I don't know, but clearly this is something Kamara wanted to do, to go to New York and plead his case, but who knows if it's going to help.
Yeah, but at least you're making the effort to do that, and that's the thing, is if you can sit down with the commissioner and kind of explain your case, kind of lay out everything from your perspective, maybe that'll help in terms of what a possible suspension could be. I can see why Kamara would do that, and at the same time, I can see why Dennis Allen, at the same time, is like, I don't really know the details behind it, because you don't know how this meeting is going to go, but certainly anything you can do to help your case in terms of trying to minimize the penalty that you could receive from the NFL, it's a smart move by Kamara.
And look, Kamara is incredibly impressive to talk to. He's highly intelligent. He speaks his case well. He's been a great citizen of New Orleans. I'm not excusing what happened in Las Vegas, but he has done a lot of good, and I'm sure he's going to be concentrating on the good that he's done to go along with this as a mitigating factor. Now, one thing I thought was really interesting is that we've seen Kamara work with Kendrick Miller, the rookie running back. They seem to have a great relationship, and it's mostly Kamara talking to Kendrick Miller, and Kendrick Miller listening, and I asked Kendrick Miller about that. He said it's all about pass routes, and it's about running routes, and it's about route recognition as a running back, because Kendrick Miller did very little of that at TCU. But remember, Alvin Kamara did very little of that at Tennessee. And Kendrick Miller said he believes Alvin Kamara is the best route running back in the NFL, and he just wants to drink some of that in. He said that the relationship has been great. Kendrick Miller has shown a skill set that maybe that's something he can do.
Yeah, and we've seen that through this first week and a half or so of camp, where you're seeing him being involved in the passing game a lot, and he's going out of the backfield, catching balls, trying to do that, and showing that skill set right now and kind of working on that is a good sign. This is what you're going to have to do in this offense in terms of being a running back. You've got to be able to not only just, one of the good things about this offense is when you're putting personnel onto the field, you don't know if it's going to be run or pass. We talk about that with the tight end room. If a tight end comes in, you don't know if it's going to be a run blocking or a pass catching situation for the tight ends. Same thing with running backs, and utilizing the running back in this offense is what Pete Carmichael likes to do. We see Alvin Kamara being able to run those choice routes, and he's really good at that. If Kendrick Miller can continue making that progression and showing that he can do this, he's going to play a significant role in this offense, especially since we don't know how much time Kamara can miss in the regular season.
Yeah, no question. And Kendrick Miller, we see him working on route running a lot. All right, let's talk about a few guys that have flashed for us. One guy we want to start with, number 98, because Peyton Turner continues to stack days.
Yeah, he's in the backfield. I think, on most of these team drills, he's back there disrupting plays. He's getting to the quarterback or to the running back early. He's looking like he's making those flashes with pads on for the first 3 days of camp that they've had the pads on. This is kind of what you want to see from that opposite defensive end. You want to see somebody stepping into that. And I see Carl Granderson also making some plays as well. But Peyton Turner, that 98 is flashing so much in that backfield. I want to jump over to the offensive side and talk about Michael Thomas. And here's somebody who, he looked quicker today.
I thought so too.
And all the one-on-one reps, it was Marshawn Lattimore and Michael Thomas going one-on-one. Lattimore would win one. There was a really good play that Michael Thomas made where he made a nice little move. Actually had Marshawn Lattimore stopped in his tracks as he cuts in the middle of the field and makes a catch. If he looks that explosive, if he's able to make those kind of, mid-range, work that middle of the field, get those 5-7 yards, help the Saints convert those third downs, which they could not do last year because they didn't have a receiver with his skill set. Michael Thomas is going to, have a role in this offense where he is not the 2019 Michael Thomas, but somebody who is serviceable and maybe even good enough to, make this offense a little more dynamic, because we didn't have that the last 2 seasons that he's missed because of injury.
Yeah, they certainly need the big body receiver.
They do.
With Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. And I thought this was Michael Thomas's best practice by far. I think he showed more flashes of the previous Mike Thomas than we've seen so far in this camp. And 2 guys to me, and we watched DB's wide receivers a lot today, 2 guys who continue to stack days and be really good are Alontae Taylor and Paulson Adebo. I know they're sort of in competition for playing time, although I think they're both going to get a ton of snaps this season. And I thought both of them had really good days again today, and we keep saying that.
There's another guy that I think we don't really applaud enough in terms of what he's doing is Traquan Smith. And I think he's kind of underappreciated because of his value in this offense, because he's not making the catches and racking up the stat. the reason why he's on the Saints team is because of what he does really well, and that's run blocking. And he's really elite in doing that for this offense. And when we came into camp, we were wondering who was going to be that fifth wide receiver that the Saints would carry when they cut down to those 53. And, you know, we like the new names and the new faces that could possibly push that. But so far, Traquan Smith has solidified, in my mind, that fourth spot. Because not only does he know this offense, he is kind of the elder statesman in that wide receiver room now. But because he's so good at run blocking and so good at that part of his game, he's going to find himself a roster spot. And we kind of forget about him, but Traquan Smith, even today, even in one-on-ones, he was making all his catches. He beat all the DBs that he was facing. He's a guy that I go, yeah, he's going to make this roster in terms of if you're looking for that fourth, fifth wide receiver, Traquan's going to be around.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have said that before camp started, but I think now, 7 practices in, I would say Traquan Smith is without question the number 4 of those receivers, and then I'm not quite sure how it stacks after that when you hit 5 and below. And I'm not sure that if they keep an extra tight end or, you know, Taysom Hill is an extra guy, I'm not sure they're going to keep more than 4 wide receivers on the 53-man roster. But I do think Traquan Smith has solidified that fourth wide receiver spot. All right, now the Saints are off tomorrow. The collective bargaining agreement mandates days off. This is the day off. They come back Friday in shells and then put the full pads back on for Saturday and Sunday. That's a look at practice number 7 for the Saints. Ricardo LeCompte, Doug Mouton in the Saints facility in Metairie.